Hi, my name's gwEm and welcome back to the gwEmbassy. So a few months ago, a viewer asked me if I could do a video explaining some breakbeat tips for the SP1200. So in this video, I've explained how you would cut up a jungle breakbeat into a number of sections and kind of resequence them into a more flowing breakbeat. And let's get on with it. So I'm in the studio with my SP1200 and I've loaded this Jungle Warfare CD into the CDJ, and I'm intending to sample this breakbeat, which I've got queued up here. Which will be cool for like an old school track or maybe a jungle track, and it's a great demonstration of how we can cut breakbeats up. So let's sample that in. We'll go into the sample menu of the SP1200. You can see my voice is going up and down. I'm using the same desk for my mic as I am for sampling. Let's just mute myself. That's pretty low. We'll need to increase the level. You can do that quite easily. Go to 20 dB. See where we are now. Pretty good. I'll just increase the gain a bit to get some clipping. Should be good. I'll sample that now. Now it says there that the sample is overloaded, which is completely fine. Let's see what we got. It's already sounding awesome. The first thing I'm going to do is to save it. Let's just listen again to the break. Clearly it's looping a few times. The first thing I'm going to do is truncate it. So we'll start by doing the start time, and a good way to approach that is to set the repeats to run extremely quickly. So you go into your autocorrect setting in the sequence editor and set it to high res. Let's go back into the truncation. So now when we do it, we'll just get the start of the sample looped extremely quickly. And it sounds like the start point's already fine. So let's think about the end point now. I'll start by, I like to start by setting the fine end point to 0 and then roughly getting the point with the coarse. That was a pretty good guess. Now I'll nudge up the fine until we start to get the second loop going. You can hear it there, just at the end there's a click of the next drum. And I'll keep knocking it back until I don't hear it anymore. I think somewhere around there. So I'll make the truncation permanent, and I'll just make a simple loop now with that breakbeat and adjust the tempo so that it fits. Now this is the Jungle Warfare CD, so all the loops are supposed to be at 160 BPM. So let's go with that as a starting point. Probably won't be exactly 160 BPM, but we'll see. So what I'm going to do is adjust the tempo so we get it spot on. it's probably somewhere there, 163, 164 BPM, but I think that's close enough. So that's running a bit fast for chopping it precisely. I'm going to actually pitch down the sample first. We go into the setup menu, 23, and the tuning is 20. I'm going to pitch it down 1 octave. That'll be much easier to chop up. So I'm going to cut the sample into 3 sections, so I need to copy it from 1 to 2, and then from 1 to 3. Now there is a trick to this, but you do start by going into special function and then using the copy sound. Copy that and go copy it into A2, and I will confirm. Now it has copied the sound. If I press A2, it will play the sample again. But it hasn't actually copied the sample data. All it's done is kind of link the 2 sounds. So what we want is these 2 samples to actually be independent. So if I edit A1 now, it will edit A2 as well, which we don't want. What we want is to have 2 independent samples, and there is a trick to doing that. So what I'm going to do is delete the first sound with 20. So that's deleted the first sound, that's no longer there, but we do have the second sound still. But I can reload sound A1 from the disk with disk menu load sounds A1. And we have A1 back, but pitched up because I didn't save it with the lower pitch setting. So let me do that now. So I need to copy it one last time from A1 to A3. Confirm. And we need to delete sample A1 and load it from the disk. So we've got 3 independent copies of the breakbeat now. Let's save what we've got so far with the save sounds. Great. So we've got these 3 sections of breakbeat. All exactly the same and independent. Now, before I start cutting these 3 segments up, a very interesting thing has happened. Because we've copied sound 1 to 2 and sound 1 to 3, they all have the same name, which makes it very hard to figure out what's going on. So if you go into the special menu, and what we want to do is rename the sounds so that they are all different. That's A1, that's A2, and we want to do A3 as well so that it's different. Now we want to do the trick of finding the start position precisely, so I'm going to go into autocorrect and change that so that there's no quantization. Now let's go into loop truncate A1. The start point we know is fine on that sample, but we need to find a good end point, and I want to truncate it just before the first snare. still a bit of the snare there. There, now it's gone. So we've got an endpoint of 9328, which I will remember, and I will make that truncation permanent. That's the first cut up. Let's edit the second sample now as well. Go back into the truncate mode, and we're going to do A2 this time. Right. So we want to start it where the first snare begins, and we know that's 9328, but let's just be certain about it. We can use the tap repeat to repeat the start of the sample very tightly, and we can adjust this fader to the loudest point. So it sounds like it is in the right place, but let's just check that. Yeah, that's spot on. That is definitely the starting point. Now I want to finish this segment just before the final snare. Let's try and position it roughly. So there we are. We don't hear any of the second snare. The endpoint is 28692, which I will try and remember. Let's do the last segment now. That's a 28692. Somewhere there. I'll use the trick with the repeat just to make sure that's set properly. It sounds about right. Okay. We've got 3 different sections of the breakbeat all cut up nicely on the first 3 pads, and we can do various cut-ups and cool things. Let's pitch the samples back up now though. There we go. And I will attempt to program in this breakbeat. I need to set the autocorrect back to 8th notes, otherwise there won't be any quantization, and my finger drumming is not quite good enough to do that, I think. So we got the first 3 there. Let's try and do something different for the second part, because we've got the 3 sections cut up so we can do funky things. So that is sounding pretty good already. I'm going to save that to disk. Right, let's just review everything we've got. 3 separate independent breakbeat sections. And a start of a cut-up breakbeat happening in the segment. So that's how you would go about cutting up a breakbeat on the SP1200. A lot of people prefer to use a program with a sample editor, but I think it's just as easy not to have one and just do it by ear as I've demonstrated. It does take a bit longer, but it's just as precise, I think, as using a graphical editor. Hope you'll hit that like button. Consider subscribing as well, please. And I hope to see you in another video soon. Take care.